Welcome everybody to the UKLC. What a game one between Fnatic and Barrage. It really felt like it should have been Barrage's, but Fnatic held on. MagiFelix stepped up. And now we're into game two with Fnatic leading 1-0. Just for information, they are again blue side. So Barrage chose red side coming into this. What changes do you think we're going to see coming to this? Does Fnatic change anything? Does Barrage change anything? Dan, just what are your thoughts?
I think this game wasn't a great one for either team. In all honesty, this was not a game where there were no mistakes from Fnatic Rising. They fell drastically far behind. But on the same side, obviously Barrage lost. So not a great one for them. I think Barrage, you won that early aggression. I think I liked that they were playing around the solo laners. It afforded them a lead. They took some strong team fights. The concern is like you need to have a contingency plan for how you're going to finish off this game, because Ericsson was basically a non-factor. He had that great 5-man ult in that team fight, but that wasn't really an Aurelia specific thing. He wasn't able to find pressure mid, and the end result was that he just fell behind and MagiFelix got in the game. So potentially a change to the Aurelia there could be something we see. For Fnatic, I think it's just maybe change the way Pride is playing, not as aggressive to sort of give over those resources. I feel like maybe the Maokai I didn't really understand.
I didn't like it. I understand why it works with Kalista, but it just didn't work. Maybe into the specific matchup, it wasn't particularly good. But
it's like what does the Maokai do that other support champions don't just do like better?
Like Nautilus, what would Maokai do that Nautilus just wouldn't do? You know? Yeah,
that's my big question. So the end result is, I think there's a couple of things I could change throughout there. Yeah, I think Fnatic, it's like you got the win. You're now in a sort of safe spot with that win in your pocket, but you don't want to sort of get overconfident here. I think Pride potentially give him a better matchup in the top lane. It is the same side selection, so clearly Barrage confident that the counter picks work for them.
Yeah,
but the Aatrox potentially something could be vulnerable in the top lane. We'll see. We'll see how the draft plays out. I think draft is a big takeaway from this. I think overall, I was happy with most things in Barrage. It was just that mid lane. I think for Fnatic, it's like maybe you want a better matchup for Pride in the top lane up against that Riven. Maybe the Riven warrants a ban. And the Maokai was just weird to me. So that could be shifted out. It's also, will you be able to get Azir in a similar situation? Because I think if you take Aurelia and MagiFelix doesn't have things like Azir or Corki, which are super safe mid laners, that could be a very different game.
Let's have a look, though. Sticking to the same ban. I expect Fnatic to stick to similar bans with the Pantheon coming out here. Let's see if Barrage change things up. It's going to be the Ornn. They thought a lot about that Ornn ban, but it does come through finally. First ban on red side. LeBlanc coming through definitely feels very similar here, just targeting Ericsson, making him into and I think that works. I mean, to be fair, let's assess the whole strategy. Targeting Ericsson to an extent did work because MagiFelix was given a very safe lane, and he was just the reason Fnatic won. I mean, you can't really sugarcoat that. MagiFelix put the rest of Fnatic on his back and carried them.
Yeah.
The Heimerdinger is going to get banned out here, so that's a change up for
I like the adaptation. I think the Heimer was a big issue. You saw how much Dan was trying to force through bot lane, and the Heimer just like completely denied it. And I don't think there's not many picks which sort of do exactly what Heimer does specifically. So it kind of leaves a hole in that composition that Barrage previously sort of strategized around. It'll be interesting to see if Kevo does have something else up his sleeve to sort of offer and make things difficult. But the responses are going to ban away that Kalista from Xmadi. So we won't have a fly out sort of tat for tat in that situation. Yeah. It doesn't mean the Ziggs is now open and available though. And it looks like Fnatic with the Kalista gone, they're just going to take the center themselves.
Yeah, the center, which is the first lock in here for Fnatic, could either go to Matty or to Bravado, depending on. I wager that, in my opinion, I just get the feeling this has been more like Matty playing the fasting center, and then you have Bravado on more of a sort of a support, or I guess tank that's going to take more of the gold in the early game. That's just the impression that I get with the Fnatic setup.
You've seen the Varus answer for Kevo. So something, you have great engage potential with that ultimate, obviously a strong tool that you can utilize, and then the Jarvan. So something that Monkeys can sort of look to punish that center already.
It's already a very comfortable pick for Monkeys.
Yeah, as well. I think it kind of puts you in a difficult position because ideally you want to Thresh into Jarvan, but you can't really take a Thresh with the fasting center. I don't think that is a really combo people utilize much. Tom Kench is still a possibility, still open and available if they want to prioritize that in the first rotation. Can obviously gobble the center out of the chains of corruption. But we'll see. I don't feel like the pressure to take it right now. Dan is going to go for that Rek'Sai, though, wanting to match that early pressure. So a very big change. We saw the Sejuani Trundle, both a lot more later game in terms of their pressure and their bulkiness. This is more early game focused junglers. But once again, Dan is looking to counteract Monk's jungle pool with this Rek'Sai.
Yeah, and Dan, I think, he had a pretty subdued game last game. I actually don't think Dan had much of an impact. The Ziggs left open, though, and it will just go over to Fnatic. Now, that could obviously be for Matty if you want to run a Senna Ziggs bot lane, or it could indeed be for MagiFelix.
Just give it to MagiFelix. You press R on top of the Barrage, and it just blows them up. You saw how strong MagiFelix was on the Azir, another champion that obviously has a really safe laning phase due to its range and also the satchel being allowed to disengage is the Ziggs. We're going to see the Echo come out from Barrage as somewhat of an answer to that. Typically, we see the Echo work well into the Syndra. I personally don't think it's the same sort of matchup, but maybe Ericsson here looking to punish this. They might find more of an angle to try and shut down MagiFelix, but we'll have to see. Now, second rotation of bans. They could look to try and target things that would go in tandem with the center, or they could look towards the Aatrox that Pride leaned on and definitely target in that regard. For now, they'll take the Taric away from Bravado. Fnatic, again, you have a similar situation. You could just take the Riven off the table right here and now. I think definitely wouldn't be a sort of bad win condition to go for by denying that one. If
you don't think Pride is comfortable here, then yes, just take the Riven. I think just... If Pride says, I don't want to face up against Riven, then just take it. Or if you're expecting the Riven, maybe pick something that Riven's good into. Like, for instance, if they don't ban Renekton, you could potentially just take Renekton, right? And then that gives you a moderately safe matchup into the Riven in the early laning phase.
True, but the fact is it's red side for Barrage, so they can just they can guarantee kind of pick for flares if they want it. Are
there any big counter picks for Renekton?
I mean, range champs absolutely murder Renekton. Flares plays Kennen as well, so that would decimate it. Sure. You would the game's really rough if you get put into that one. So they're going to ban away the Riven and the Kled. The support bans coming out makes me think the Barrage are going to pick their support here. Probably a strong engager. The Thresh works really well. You have the Nautilus. I think the end result is because you've taken away Taric and the Tom. Those are the big sort of melee peel supports that you want to utilize with the Senna. So I feel like they'll probably go for one of those. It's going to be a Thresh, yeah. So
going to be
no massive surprise. No massive surprise in that situation. And now for Fnatic, I feel like with the Riven and the Kled, I feel like you can potentially just go the Aatrox here with those banned away. We are going to see the Maokai locked in for Bravado. I like this more, in all honesty.
I like it because you get gold, right? I like it because you get gold.
That's the big thing for me. You get gold on it, so it's not just a useless Maokai. You actually become pretty strong. You can go things like the Abyssal Mask, which obviously increases MagiFelix's damage. Sunfire Cape really strong at the moment. And yeah, no real surprises. Maokai Aatrox come out. And now it's for Barrage to see what they want to answer in the top lane for flares. Doesn't have his typical options off the Kled or the Riven.
Yep, so you'll have to stretch that out a little bit more and see where he can land.
I wouldn't be against the Kennen. I actually think this is an okay Kennen game. I think Kennen into Aatrox is an okay matchup. And essentially the whole goal is that you just dive enemy backline. But instead he's going to go for the Renekton. No, changes it, Camille.
Goes for the Camille. I think a skill matchup. I always felt this is a bit of a skill matchup.
I think it's Aatrox favored in the early levels, but I think Camille obviously outscales almost anything.
Sure.
This means they have a good 1-3-1 win condition, but in all honesty, I would probably prefer them just go for something that just wins team fights. There's not a ton of peel for MagiFelix next Maddie. There's CC lockdown, but it's not the greatest. They don't have the Taric and Tahm Kench afforded. But I guess we'll see. Camille can still function a team fight more than champions like Fiora, but obviously isn't stellar at it. But there's a lot of dive potential from Barrage. And I think, again, they've sort of given themselves more early agency. Now, in this scenario, Dan has the jungler that can really match the pressure of the Jarvan. It's a good matchup for him. He has great gang paths. But essentially, he's just trying to escort MagiFelix and Matty into the later stage of the game where they really come online. Matty with a ton of souls stacked up will be really powerful. And Ziggs has made a resurgence because he's just so good in the later stages of the game. His damage is absurd. He has a lot of safety with the minefield and the satchel. So yeah, I think both teams, a little bit for change up. I think they kind of both got what they would like to get from this situation. I do kind of lean towards Fnatic because we saw Barrage had a little bit of difficulty closing out, and I'm not really convinced Ericsson's going to be able to find momentum in the mid lane once again. Playing Echo into the Ziggs, I feel like MagiFelix is going to be farming once more this matchup, and if it goes late game...
Yeah, no, I just think MagiFelix is so safe, right? Like, that's the thing that I've always thought mid lane. I very, very rarely int it. I don't think I can name a single time I've seen MagiFelix like giga in a game.
I mean, in that first matchup, Barrage against Fnatic, they just murdered MagiFelix. They just perma-tower dived him in the mid lane, and he had no room to breathe. But I'm not sure this is going to be one of those games, because you pick the Camille into the Aatrox, which is something you kind of need jungle pressure to take over. And then you kind of need to lean the Camille down towards mid if you're going to kill that Ziggs in the tower. There's no sort of easy condition for that. Now, they're going for the cheeky little trick here where you get essentially the free stack of gold because you can piercing light through a target. You also see this with Yuumi. Yuumi will auto attack the tower, then dash inside an ally. Essentially just give him a little bit of gold lead. Now, the thing it does trade off is you kind of lose pressure in the jungle. So Barrage could have potentially gone for an invade on the back of that, but nothing really comes from it. Kevo and Hado and Flares are waiting in the tri-brush. There's no reward for it.
They're going to go... Well, I think they're just going to stick a ward down around the Krug so they can keep a tabs on where Dan potentially paths, like maybe keep an eye on him whether he goes to Krugs or whether he goes elsewhere from this red buff start. So moderately clever little play there.
I think it's super important overall because when you're going up against a Rek'Sai, the gank paths are extremely threatening. You have to be aware of those. With a Thresh is so good against Rek'Sai because you can play him out his tunnels. You can also use a lantern, and you're very reliant on just closing the distance on a Rek'Sai to get that knock up. So it is a good pick to sort of mitigate. And as long as you know where the Rek'Sai is coming from, Barrage should be fine in the bot lane up against that.
And Bravado and Matthew, they'll keep an eye. They will have tabs on him doing the Krugs, so they'll know that he's gone for those. At least the Krugs will be spotted out by that ward. What is that?
Maybe the Krugs are just dying on their own. Have you ever thought about that one?
What does that
go into a fight with each other? Maybe.
So what does that information actually give monkeys though? Like, so you put that ward down. What does that information give to Barrage, and what is it useful? What can monkeys do knowing that he's at Krugs?
Well, you know that he's going to be pathing towards top side, so you have options. You can try and contest the Scuttle Crab off him, or you can try and avoid him and head to the other side. If you look at the lane, top lane, Flares is actually shoving in. So if you didn't sort of factor anything in here, there might be a difficult situation because Dan would path topside, and overextended Flares would be vulnerable for a gank. So this means Monkeys knows he can be there for a counter gank. He can be in a position where he can punish the Rek'Sai, and Rek'Sai very vulnerable to counter ganks. Once you've tunneled in, once you've used your knockup, there is potential to turn around, and he's going to do that. So he knows that Dan is on the top side right now. He's going to hover nearby and allow Flares to push this in. Flares feels confident. He knows he has his jungler to back him up. The lane crashes, and then Monkeys leaves. He doesn't even have to show his face, but his job is done. And that's what that information hands over. You know where you have to be to sort of facilitate your laners.
MagiFelix has already put a lot of pressure onto Ericsson in the early levels. Flares is now heading down towards Dan. They're going to go for a blue buff invade here.
Getting quite a bit of damage on Dan and just scaring him off. But you got to be concerned about the collapse now. MagiFelix has moved.
Yeah, MagiFelix has moved, actually. And you can see now they're looking to go aggressive onto Monkeys and Flares, who is now stuck into... I think Flares just might be dead. He is. First Blood goes over to Pride. And yes, okay, Monkeys gets the blue buff, but that's definitely not worth it for First Blood.
I just don't understand why. Why did Flares hookshot onto that? You're never going to kill him, you know?
No.
You're not going to steal the camp away from him. But you're just definitely going to die. Like, you must have known that Ericsson can't follow because he was so low in health, and actually does dash away, so doesn't get caught out there. But it's just a very weird play to me where I'm not really sure what's going on. And then he fails the hookshot on the way out, so he ends up dying. Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm kind of lost on that one, but ultimately, big payoff for Fnatic, and this has been my concern mid lane. We saw Magic Felix have a great time on the Azir. He seems to be having a better time so far on the Ziggs, in all honesty. Although thinking back, he did kind of devastate Ericsson when he was on that Aurelia. And it's just very hard to challenge. The satchel on Ziggs makes him extremely safe. The minefield as well. He's going to shove this in and actually critically uses the satchel to clear the wave.
I think he's going to be forced to flash here. Yes, so using the satchel to clear the wave was a bit greedy, and Monk manages to force Summoner. Does make him a little weaker and a little bit more vulnerable. You can definitely
punish. Yeah, you can return on that, especially if Flares finds priority top lane and has ult. You can just go in the tower and ult him, and you will go down. So a bit of a mistake there from Magic Felix, but ultimately he's still finding success in this match. We'll actually TP back in. You can't TP against an Echo. He TPs back in, and obviously the parallel convergence instantly comes down and he gets chunked out. So a couple of mistakes here from Magic Felix so far.
Yeah, and you can see Monkus has already returned to this mid lane. Now I wonder if Dan's going top. Dan wants to put pressure onto Flares, who I think is just dead here, unless he gets a really good hook shot off.
He had to go for the hook shot way sooner. Oh, actually, whoa!
Oh, I say that.
Out. He waits out all the CC. Yeah, I was thinking you're waiting way too long to hook shot. You should have gone for it before he got in range, but ultimately, actually manages to make them think he was down and turn it around. Good play there from Flares to evade that gank. It looked pretty devastating with sort of the position of the wave and Dan coming in on the Rex side.
Matty got chunked out here, but obviously being center, you'll be able to heal up. Haddo's just trying to zone away from as many possible. That's one of the things that I like about, you know, playing into a center like this. If you could just prevent her from picking up the souls when they drop.
Yeah, then she'll only have like 100 at 30 minutes instead of like
exactly.
She'll only have 2,000 range instead of 3,000 range.
It's the little victories, okay? the little victories. Matty has healed up now. Bravado just doing what he can to zone out the pressure coming from Haddo on the brushes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the scary thing for me is this Maokai is going to be so tanky. That's what scares me is the combo as well, because Maokai can root and you can instantly follow up with the root from the center. And also when you think about roots and a Ziggs, you hit them with the center of that Mega Inferno Bomb and the AP ratio is 110%.
It's like, pretty spicy.
It does an insane amount of damage, which is going to make things extremely difficult for Barrage later in the game. Speaking of difficult, Flair's not having fun in this top lane matchup.
No, he's still keeping relatively even in CS, but yes, it is definitely Pride who's coming out on top in the individual trades. Just from the back of that very, very awkward invade that happened early on, Flares has been put behind in terms of the pressure in the 1v1 matchup. But I wouldn't say it's... I mean, there's a 1,300 gold lead opened up. I'm trying to figure out where that come from. I'm guessing it's just CS discrepancies in the top and mid side, as well as that first blood. Yeah, that looks to be the case. About 700 in the top lane, so Pride's got a pretty significant advantage here.
Yeah, which is a good showing considering how rough last game was for him. And this is why I wasn't really sure about this Camille pick. Yes, it does outscale, but you're going to have a rough time in the laning phase. And I think if you go late against this composition of Fnatic Rising, I'm not feeling too positive about your chances. Right now, we do see Bravado actually was keeping up CS pretty well early game, but he started to fall behind a bit as things get a bit more threatening with the Chains of Corruption. Obviously, it's not too much of a factor when Mighty's getting so much value from playing the center and picking up the souls. Actually, I think the thing is he took some of the CS in that situation.
He's got 12, so he's got, I think they say that 30 is about the cutoff point for...
30's the cut, yeah, when you start getting reduced. You want to take melee minions, ideally. You don't want to take cannons, because cannons give 100% soul chance, and you don't want to take casters, because they're not worth much gold compared to the other minions, and they give 25% chance. So ideally, you take melee minions. The alternative is if Bravado can't get a CS, then it's better for Matty to take it, because the raw gold often outweighs the souls.
I've seen Matty pick up a couple of, like, for instance, when they're zoned away from a cannon minions, he does take that cannon minion. Bravado actually gets engaged on, but I think Kevo used the ultimate there. The ignite comes down as well.
Yeah, however, CC chain, but they don't manage to kill him out. Both summoners burn, but that does mean that Maddie's been able to go up to the top side of the map, roam up. Obviously, he's not gated by CS. He doesn't need to be in lane and pick up the farm because that's Bravado's job. So they secure the Herald. They're looking to capitalize top lane.
Pride just went in for a tower dive here, and the Mega Inferno Bomb just sacrificed to the gods, as now they might even be able to pop the Rift Turret here and just go for the first turret.
Yeah, and why not? There's no one there to sort of contest it. I think you just finish this one out, and it's a huge win for Fnatic Rising, in all honesty. Flair's not having a good game, but this is an opportunity where Pride can be aggressive. Oh, bot lane.
Bravado taking very low again, actually jumps in, doesn't get healed up here, but Matty is popping off right now. Doesn't want to go too heavy, though you have too much HP advantage over Kavo right now, my dude. That is, he's going for the final basic attack. I don't know if he's going to land it. He's going to try and pop and get within range.
Oh, he gets in range.
And
with the movement speed.
A kill with Bravado as well. So they find a 2v2 in the bot lane. This is not looking good for Barrage. And this is a significant lead built up by Fnatic at 10 minutes. We are now looking at a 3,000 gold lead. That mental reset, it didn't happen.
Yeah,
now...
It looked like Bravado was dead there, but he turns around on a tower. They managed to trade 2 for 1. Top lane just got crushed and the tower's gone. It's not looking good for Barrage. And yes, they have that Camille in the late game who's going to be a threat, but you're against a Ziggs, you're against a Senna, a Maokai who's farming. It's just, this is looking rough already for Barrage.
Yeah, and it's not even like Ericsson's picked up any major advantages. In fact, he's just behind to MagiFelix. They haven't managed to find that assassination play. He will get a lot of damage off here. I actually don't think MagiFelix escapes this. He's trying to play around. Well, actually, no, he does.
The gang's here.
The gang is here, and now Ericsson gets knocked up by Dan. He has got that ultimate available, and Dan was just trying to force it out. I think he will with the ultimate, and Ericsson will bounce back here. Bravado looks nice Mega Inferno Bomb, but not quite enough to finish Ericsson off. Pride actually teleported down.
But the pressure's there, and that means they can hammer away this tower with the Ziggs, although I think because Kevo's... Actually, they're just going to look for Kevo.
Kevo, yeah. Not really sure what you were doing, my dude. Bravado actually gets dragged under turret here, but Pride, fully HP in a ultimate form of Aatrox, is just going to try and dive in onto that backline. Huge amount of damage. I don't think Flares is actually going to be able to find the 1v1. The healing is too much from him right now, and this is just disgusting from Fnatic. They may even get a few more plates on this mid lane turret. I really don't think Ericsson can even defend it. They might even get it, obviously, with the Ziggs.
Yeah, with the satchel, it's so easy to get. And that's the thing with the Ziggs. You find a lone time with a tower, and it's just gone. And it's now almost a 6th. I mean, Matty's going to be getting more plates bot lane as well. It's now a 6k gold lead. That's yikes.
I think this is definitely a rough situation for Barrage, and then this is looking like Fnatic gear. They needed that one game to warm up. Honestly, Pride has essentially bounced back in a massive way. Definitely off the back of a single kill in that top lane, he's taken a huge advantage over Flares. And Flares, we've raised questions about him. When he's not on a really comfortable champion, he hasn't looked fantastic. He's looked a little bit shaky around the edges, and it definitely feels the way that on the Camille, he's just not finding the same kind of advantages.
Yeah, it's really just been kind of a flop altogether. And this sometimes happens when you have a really close game, game 1, and then a team loses it. Game 2, they don't have it in them anymore. The momentum's been lost, the conviction to win. And I think I was concerned about this Camille pick into the Aatrox because it kind of needs jungle pressure to do well, and it hasn't done well. Mid lane, Ericsson's done nothing to MagiFelix. MagiFelix is having a blast. He's really having a great time so far this game. And I felt like the Echo wasn't really a good answer. The only lane where you could really be aggressive is bot, and even then you lost that 2v2 kill, 2 for 1. And now MagiFelix is going to take another tower on the bot lane. So.
Exactly, that's the issue. And I think every single plate will drop here for Fnatic. They've taken 15 plates in the early game here. That is just a disgusting amount of gold that's now going to go over. MagiFelix.
Oh, wait, I want to see the individual gold though. I want to see how much MagiFelix has. He's
got a 2,000 gold lead.
At 14 minutes. I mean, top lane has a 2k gold lead as well.
Yeah.
Jungle has a 2k gold lead. Who doesn't have a 2... Okay, bot lane doesn't have a 2k gold lead, but everyone else is so far ahead. We've seen Engage come in top.
Pride's actually just going to dodge out of the bubble here. He's got the ultimate from Xmati to give him that thing. He's getting the healing coming through. Barrage have basically blown all their damage. In comes Pride. It's a 1 versus 3, and Pride is still going. He'll have to back off here, though. He will force the flash. I think Flares is just too much for him, but he defended the top lane tower 1 versus 3 and still comes out, what I would say, the victor.
And in the bot lane, we see Hado go down. Oh, Kevo, goodbye. And nearly actually turned around on the Magi Felix, but doesn't quite find it. But I mean, I think just that play in the top lane kind of tells a story. The fact Pride's 1v3 still survives.
Oh my!
And in the mid lane, look at Matty and Bravado just pushing a mid, taking towers, and it's feeling pretty rough right now for Barrage.
What do you even say? What do you even say in this situation when you commit 3 members? I mean, is Flares just going to die here? I think it's going to be close. Actually, he flashes in, does land the hook shot, and will get the shutdown. So maybe a little bit overzealous from Pride. Overzealous from Pride. Then.
And that could be their win condition. You know, a Camille in the side lane can threaten taking towers. Does scale almost infinitely, that champion. But my concern is that just team fight's going to be so rough up against just the composition of Fnatic with the goal lead they have. So yeah, the game isn't over, but it's definitely not looking good for Barrage.
What do you say at this point? I mean, you've talked about the fact that maybe the Camille can get back into side lane, but I just feel like right now Pride just batters the 1v1, and Magi Felix 105. He's got the Ludens. He's guys. There's some pretty solid item spikes already picked up by him. Fnatic have got 2 dragons. They've got the next Rift Herald going down their way. They've got a nigh on, what, 8,000 gold lead working up right now. I mean, this is just disgusting. He actually pops the ultimate. Pride looking for the 1v1 versus Ericsson right now. In comes Hado. Will Hado be able to stop this from happening? I really don't think they've got the damage to do it right now. And actually, Monkus turns up again. Pride.
Oh, yeah, they get it. Okay. They get him.
They get him, but are they going to lose something on the map right now because they've taken the Rift Herald? Actually, the Rift Herald's still up, but they haven't taken it.
Don't need it.
Yeah.
They're starting on it.
They're going to get it eventually.
You know, I just love Ziggs as a champion. He's really frustrating to play against. But a lot of fun to play, and I think that's the main thing, is that when you're unchallenged on him critically, which Magi Felix has been this game, and I think a big takeaway is having the CC on the front line, and really Bravado sets that up very well. All you need is someone to lock them in place, and Ziggs can just layer down the damage.
They get another turret as well, by the way, and that was probably off the back of how many people came to that fight with Pride.
I think what I will praise is that Barrage have done a good job to find numbers advantages and punish outlying members. I mean, by outlying members, I mean Pride.
Right, yeah, just Pride.
Just Pride. But I think it's what you need to do when you're this far behind. I think in the series earlier today, where we saw from Envision, it was kind of like they just didn't really put up too much give when they were behind. And in fairness, XL looked absolutely dominating. But here, Barrage know they're behind. They know this game is in a bad spot, but they're trying to find angles they can punish. They're trying to find picks on the people. A lot of damage coming out already, but it's just trying to pick up gold where you aren't contesting the raw power of Fnatic right now, and that is when they have members grouped up, when they have Bravado and down there on the front line, when Magi Felix and Maddie are afforded the ability to free hit. So basically Pride.
Only 49 souls on Matty. I feel like he's taken DS this game. He hasn't actually built up a huge number of souls so far.
Yeah, he's actually been farming pretty heavily overall. And the sort of way I sort of measure it is just like, how much value are you getting from the gold? Obviously, souls plus gold is pretty good value, but okay, they're not going to find engage. Like getting the soul for Maddie and the gold for Bravado is pretty good value. But obviously, if Bravado can't contest the CS, you give the Maddie. And it's also the items are still relevant for the center. So yeah, a little bit behind in souls compared to what we would typically expect, but it has afforded him a decent amount of gold. But Ericsson might just be some more gold in his pocket.
He's going to get stunned up here. The root comes through. And Ericsson now dived on by Dan. He is going to be forced to use that ultimate eventually. But I don't think it's going to save him. Magi Felix trying to pick up the kill here. but it'll just go over to Dan with the ultimate. Pride gets locked in, doesn't actually land on the box. We'll walk through it intentionally just to zone Hado and Kevo away. The teleport of Magi Felix coming through. Look at the damage just of that single bomb onto Hado. He's going to chase them down. This is a very mean Yordle right now. The Mega Inferno bomb chunks Hado down very low. I think Kevo's going to die as Dan goes godlike 7-0-3. And Hado going to push for the mid lane.
Just murdering it on this Rek'Sai. He's doing so well, just everywhere on the map where he needs to be, picking up kills, and it really feels like Barrage lost all momentum from their game one. Right now, they're pushing down mid again with the Ziggs. You can take this one so easily. And to lose your mid inhibitor tower already, it's just such a bad omen. Nearly 8,000 just shy off is the gold lead right now. So super in favor of the side of Fnatic Rising, and it's just definitely a rough spot to be in.
And they're going to go for their third Drake as well. That puts them on soul point. Mountain Drake, if you needed to keep Magi Felix safe versus the dive potential, Mountain Drake's definitely one of the best Drakes to do that.
Yeah, I think when you want to play front to back and the enemy team has dive, Mountain Soul is one of the best, because it essentially just means when you're diving onto Maddie and Magi Felix, they have this extra shield to break through. Especially the worst is, you know, when you see like Bloodthirster 80 carries, like you see a Misfortune with Bloodthirster and a Mountain Soul, and it's like just like a 3k health bar, and it's just no real chance. But gonna make things safer if they can secure that one. Right now, Rift Tower's getting thrown down bot lane, kind of a bit of an afterthought as it was getting close to timing out. But it will apply pressure there. I think Magi Felix is leaning down to maybe just cement that tower with the satchel. But really, this is just very much a game that Fnatic have complete control over. They are hunting for Ericsson here. He does have his flash and ult, so should be able to evade this, but
I think they're just mostly trying to get this charge to happen.
Yeah, charging the satchel. It's done. Yeah. It's down. That's all you have to do. You just throw the W down, and it's just instantly gone. Felix actually holding it. No, he uses it in the end. And they could look for another charge here. Another charge means another satchel, another tower. If they can get that one off.
And it charges. That might just be another tower for Magi Felix.
To walk up and satchel it. But he's being a little precarious. He doesn't want to get engaged on. I think Barrage are threatening that. So Fnatic's just going to take it slow. They're in no rush. They don't want to give over any of these shutdowns they have. They'll push the wave up. They'll let Pride push up in the mid lane. Flares tries to look for something, but now Magi Felix can walk up and throw that satchel.
I mean, they don't even need to. Oh, he does do it anyway. They're going to pick it up. And another inhibitor turret falls at 22 minutes into the game. Flares gets engaged upon by Pride, who pops the ultimate, has to pop his own ultimate to bounce back. The pull comes in onto Dan, who is now immediately shut down. But is he going to give up his life for the rest of the team? He will. As Fnatic push through, they're getting that first inhibitor. They've already won the fight. They're going to get 2 inhibitors at the very least out of this skirmish. And you can't help but feel like this is all she wrote for Barrage. Their hopes in the semi-final being cut short by Fnatic Rising.
Could well be it. At this point, you've lost your bot inhibitor, your mid inhibitor. Super bad to have down when Baron's available, as someone has to clear out those super minion waves, and it means Fnatic can just reset and start to put pressure on that Baron. They have the ability to tank it now. The takeaway is they did get that shutdown onto Monkeys, critically in the hands of Varus, so they still have something to work with, but it's still just such a rough situation to be in.
And I don't think the 1-3-1's even going to work, because Magi Felix can just 1v1 anyone on your team, I feel, even with the dive potential of the Echo and the Camille. And obviously, Pride is just so strong that he can just batter Flares in the 1v1. I would wager that he'd do the same to Ericsson as well. And now that, like you said, they are just going to set up for their Baron. Pride teleport is coming up.
So you've seen Dan's items.
Dan has gone Infinity Edge Rek'Sai. I'm sure there will be Selfmade would be very happy.
Well, because he was going to, I thought he was going towards the GA, but he's gone the Infinity Edge, and it doesn't mean you have a lot of bit. Oh, Magi Felix!
Oh, he's forced the flash here. I mean, Barrage, they were looking for it, but
that's your one avenue back in the game. You catch someone in a pick when they're not expecting it, but Magi Felix manages to get the flash out. Now they're looking for the claps here. I think Barrage should be able to get away.
Yeah, actually, Magi Felix lands, or rather, Matty lands the... Wait a second, though. Bravado gets pulled in here. He's taken very low. Dan doing a lot of damage with that edge, though. You've got to look out for Beggar. Huge. That is just what Ziggs does best. And they're even going to potentially pick up a kill onto Monkeys as Pride works his way through. Dan lands the ultimate. The hook from Hado is good. But how good is it? Is it good enough to win the fight? I don't think it is. Pride is going to batter on forward. He's going to get pulled in by Hado. But it's just Ericsson and Hado at this point. The healing from Pride is just too strong. He ults. but it won't do anything. As the ult from Matty will take him very low. They're going to get every inhibitor turret, potentially every inhibitor off the back of this as well.
Yeah, they're just going to be able to shut these ones down. I don't think they'll be able to end right. I mean, they might. Nah, they'll back off. They don't want to risk it. The respawns are coming pretty soon. But this is going to translate into a very easy Baron pickup. We're also a minute away from Soul, so I expect to see Fnatic go for the Baron. But actually, TP coming in. They're not going to contest this.
Flares. He's trying to find the flank here. They're trying to go for a play onto Magi Felix, but his damage is just, I mean, Flares just dead. He's just dead, and now Ericsson might just be dead as well. Hado's probably dead also. They very wisely back out from that situation.
And Kevo just can't beat the minions.
Kevo can't beat the minions. He's too far behind right now. He's desperately losing. He's just desperately losing to the minions, and that is it. That's blood in the water for Fnatic. The super minions have done the work for them, and that is an exposed Nexus as Pride gets Hado down. The Ultimo from Bravado to zone them away. That'll be Ericsson losing his life, and Pride will push forward on the other side of the Nexus to zone away the rest of Barrage. The super minions open the game up for Fnatic, and they will take the win 2-0 to face XL in the grand finals of the UKLC.
And a decisive game, game one. Barrage were ahead, and they looked like they could really be a challenger to this Fnatic Rising roster. They fell at the last hurdle towards the end. They started to falter, and it was Magi Felix the driving force in bringing this back. This game two, it wasn't just the Magi Felix show. Everyone was on point, but it felt like Barrage kind of just lost steam after losing that game one. I feel like mid, they were unable to challenge Magi Felix on these majors. Flares was struggling when he didn't have an advantageous matchup with pressure. The end result is we're having a repeat of last year. It's going to be XL against Fnatic Rising in the finals. I think it's a bit of a shakeup because we wouldn't have typically expected to happen in this fashion, but it's the academy teams once again showing their dominance.
Yes, I think at the end of the day, there was a lot of promise from the UKLC this season. And I think that we need to write it off maybe we're close, apart from XL going undefeated so far. But I do really think there's been some real promise in teams outside of those academy teams. But it is that classic matchup of the UK, XL versus Fnatic in the finals once more, a best of 5. And I'll show you the brackets so you can see when that's going to take place. It's on the 29th of March. We can have a look at exactly what it looks like. You know, if you really need to visualize those semi-finals into finals, then this is what it looks like. 29th of March, BTXL versus Fnatic Rising. I believe it will coincide with the same day of the Nordic Championship finals as well. So we'll have 2 best of 5s, and we're gonna have a whole little party going on the stream, guys. Dan and Hip Rain will be casting. I'll be hosting, going back to my natural role, and we're actually going to be bringing in a Nordic specialist as well for the day too. So I'm very much looking forward to the finals. We're obviously doing it all online, but we're going to try and make it as fun as possible. We're going to try and make it as informative as possible, and I'm really just looking forward to both the Nordic Championship matchups, but also this UKLC matchup. You can never not be excited for Fnatic versus XL in the best of 5. I'm
hyped for XL coming in as the favorites, and they could go the 3-0. They could go the clean sweep of the entire season. I guess we'll see. Fnatic definitely looking like they wanted to challenge that, but it wasn't an infallible series. I think XL series, them being dominant, it didn't even look super close, but this one, there was at least a little bit of wiggle room in that game one. So going into it, XL will be the favored ones, but Fnatic have always been their kryptonite in the UK scene, constantly denying them that #1 spot, and it's an opportunity for them to do that once more.
Yeah, and obviously both of these teams have now qualified for the European Masters group stages. It'll just be a matter of seeding going into the European Masters UKLC at those finals. But again, we're going to see Fnatic and XL in that prestigious European tournament representing the UKLC. And if you haven't read the article, there's an article out where we talk a little bit about I think it's on Esports News UK. They talk a little bit about the chances of these teams in the European Masters. And, you know, I think XL, from what I've seen so far, a potential dark horse for the title, but there is a lot of competition for the European Masters this time round. Loads of really good seeds from the Prime League and Super League Orange coming in.
XL, how they played today, looked good. I think convincingly they looked good. Now we'll see next week whether they can maintain that against Fnatic Rising. But like you said, it's a ramped up EU Masters. Group stage will be so much more competitive because we're now going to have a lot of strong seeds It's basically the way the seeding has completely been restructured for E-Masters. So I feel like play-ins will be there'll be a lot of teams that are maybe weaker, because typically, like we saw Misfits Premier and Big both came from the play-ins and won the whole thing. I think it's going to be less likely because you won't have the second seeds from the big regions coming into play-ins, but we're going to have, you know, 2 group stage seeds from the UK, 2 group stage seeds from the LFL, 2 group stage seeds from the Superliga Orange and from the Prime League. It's going to be a very stacked groups, and I think it's going to make it a big fight. But ultimately, if XL are playing like this, they have a decent shot, and Fnatic looking to play upset.
Yeah, and we'll have to see how those best of 5s go on the 29th of March. So make sure you tune in, same channel for both the Nordic and the UKLC. I believe they're going to be on the same day. So you've got 2 best of 5s to conclude 2 of our Northern Europe regions. But for now, thank you very much for watching, guys. It was 2 O's for both of our academy teams. We'll see you on the 29th.